What's a high value man in your opinion?
The simplest way to put it is somebody who leads with integrity. I think a lot of it is looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm exactly who I say I am. I think the school system, what it does is, for me, the reason why I hate it so much, and I use the word hate, I do hate it, it takes away your shine from the world. My aim in life, and I always look at people that are giving me advice, this is from Dan Bilzerian, I'd much rather have a slow burning success than just make it tomorrow. Because if you make it tomorrow, you're missing out on a whole chunk of life that you're supposed to learn. This is why girls can get over men way quicker than men can get over the girl, right? If she goes and sleeps with another guy, that's going to hurt you a lot more deeply than it's going to hurt her. Because women are willing to share high value men. And the statistics show that women now are more likely to go for a high value guy. Even it goes back to like sales a little bit. It's like whoever can walk away from the deal first wins the deal.
If something happened to me tomorrow in my relationship, I know for a fact that I wouldn't be sat around in my room, regardless of how I feel.
Yeah.
My life would not change. I wouldn't let outside emotions, external factors that I cannot change now because the decision's been made, whether it was on my end or her end. I wouldn't let that affect my life.
Why would I believe in something that's taking away my power? That doesn't make sense to me. It's like...
You said you can't believe in anything that could take away your power, but you told me that you believe in God.
I don't think God takes away my power though. I think it enhances it. If I can leave it up to him...
Is God not capable of taking away your power?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Gooms Podcast. Today we sat down with Marty, a 22-year-old entrepreneur currently killing it in the agency space. We spoke about the fall in masculinity, is depression even real, what it takes to truly become your best self, and much, much more. I promise you guys that this is not an episode to miss. Thank you for all the continued support on the podcast. Me and Chris really, really appreciate it. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You'd be doing us a big, big favor. Enjoy the episode, guys.
Like going to Dubai and stuff, changes your reality, bro. Have you been to Dubai?
Yeah. We did a month in 2023.
You'll get back from Dubai and you just feel like, you start walking around for a bit and you just feel depressed. Like I was all right, but my sister wasn't. She was just sitting there in her room just like, I want to go back now. I have to go back.
It's a place that can open your perspective up so like massively change your perspective on so much.
For sure.
And then, I mean, we literally had this conversation with Rio a couple of weeks ago, but for me, that place is like best food, best hotel, best network, best businesses, best minds, best ideas, best weather, best tax bracket, best cars.
Best girls.
Like
100%.
Like what? Why not? Like, It's like, why would we keep ourselves here? It's like if the roles were reversed and the UK had all of that stuff and we were paying 50% tax, you'd kind of be like, okay, makes sense.
I think
it's flipped.
The only thing for me was that I found I wouldn't be able to move there straight away was an age thing. We went on a couple of nights out and I kind of felt a bit...
What, young?
Not young in terms of like maturity, but like everybody there is like mostly 26, 27.
Yeah.
Which is, I've just turned 22, January 6th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if it would be a problem, but that's the only thing my little niggle, and maybe the traffic.
Yeah, the traffic's actually not great,
The
is
traffic's shit, yeah.
But
England's shit as well, so.
Well, yeah, if you're driving through London, bro, it's not going to be much better, is it?
Exactly. You got the Deliveroo drivers, bro. Nightmare.
The thing is with the age, I never really felt that.
Depends how you carry yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you carry yourself badly.
To be fair, that wasn't a problem. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a problem, but I was just looking at it thinking, could it
just
be...
a bit of an older crowd?
Yeah, maybe. I thought the men there were a little bit weird, tiny bit.
What do you mean?
Especially because I'm walking around with my sister. We've got a big group of girls. One bloke turns around to my sister and goes, I would never date you.
What?
That's the first thing he said to her. And I looked at him and I was like, you prick. I was like, that can't be your pickup line, surely.
Was he like an expat or?
No, he was just like a ball geezer.
Oh,
he comes over. So basically, right, this was on Friday night. We then go out on Saturday night. He's with a group of girls, and he's walked up to us and gone, said hello again, and Penny was like, you know, go away, whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't like girls in cold countries. And I was like, well, I don't like blokes in warm countries. Piss off. Like that. And obviously you can't really get into, there's a few big like Essex lads out there as well. You can't get into any scraps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can bring a bit of animosity to the situation where it's like, we can't actually have a confrontation. So we all have to be like rubbing elbows a little bit. I'm not always like that. Sometimes I like to have a bit of a chin wag and kind of go, get a little bit deeper to a situation.
He wants to fucking front.
From where I'm from in Essex, everybody's like that, which isn't too much of a problem. Like I'll adapt to the situation, but yeah, that's the only thing I sort of felt.
So just so that I've got it in short, you love Dubai. The only thing that you would kind of knock it for is that the guys are a little bit older, and you can't have fights. In short,
tiny bit. Yeah. That's how we can put it. No, I'd probably say that. Yeah. Do you know what it is as well? Like with Dubai, I came away from it and I was just like starstruck from the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really know if I want to say this. Probably shouldn't say it, to be fair, but fuck it.
I reckon you should.
I'm pretty open with what I say anyway. I ended up getting with this famous Instagram model, and she's got like pretty little thing deals, whatever. You can always cut the clip anyway. And it changed my perspective on literally everything. And I was looking at it and I was just thinking, how the hell have I managed that? And it was more like I wanted guys, I was talking to my friends about it and I was just like, what you perceive somebody to be like on social media. Because I knew this girl for a while as well. She didn't know who I was. And immediately I said her name. She turns around and goes, oh, me and my sister, we really like your stuff, blah, 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 blah. Started getting talking. And I was just like, I'm a big believer in how the universe works and puts you in front of people. But I manifested it so much to the point that it just happened. And I couldn't quite believe it in the moment. And after I kept on repeating it to my sister, I was like, I kept on saying that I was going to meet this person. I just met her. And it just, that was a weird experience.
Wait, so I'm confused as to what it...
That was a lot of ranting, by the way.
What did it change? You said it changed everything.
It changed my perspective a little bit because I kind of thought... It changed my perspective in two ways. I think the first way, I kind of realised that what you perceive someone to be like on social media and what they're like in real life, completely different.
Yeah.
Number two, how the universe will actually manifest your words. And I always say as well, like, what is the first, like, how did the universe, like, how was it created? And the first bit of the universe, how it's created, is called the word, which is like, it's through God's words that he created everything. And that's where I kind of took a step back and realised that that was true for the first time. It was like everything I've been saying to myself over the last few months is just become true. Like me and my sister, the whole year, we're going to Dubai, we're going to Dubai, we're going to Dubai, we're going to Dubai. We had no money, and then it was just like, bang, we're here.
How did you get to Dubai if you had no money?
Made money. My whole family, we just started really knuckling down. Like my dad, he never really, I wouldn't say he didn't grow up with a lot of money. But this year especially, it just like something just flicked. I think it was kind of like a COVID thing as well. Like we were all sitting around in COVID, like something just got to change. And then we just all started changing together. It was really weird.
I think that's dope.
Yeah, that's amazing
Yeah,
that like, you and your family did it collectively.
Yeah,
it's like most
good.
of the stories that you hear online, it's like one individual like changed everything during COVID. Like it wasn't me and my whole family decided to make a change.
Yeah, I think another thing as well, like my dad saw how fraudulent the system was, and I saw how fraudulent the system was, and that's why I kind of decided I wanted to make money online as well, because you see people like these influencers and stuff making all this money, and I was just like, I don't think they're any better than me. I feel like I can do this. I just got to put my mind to it. And I actually saw a statistics really interesting. During COVID, I saw a statistic was like all millionaires in the world, 75% of them are entrepreneurs. I think it was 15% are investors, 7% are athletes, 3% are like artists. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, if I actually want to make the money I want to make, I'm going to have to be an entrepreneur. There's just no other option. And with my football as well, I tell you, it made a massive difference for my football, starting this new venture. because I was now playing football and I was just in my flow state where I was just like, I wasn't thinking about football all day long. So I just went and played and I was just so much better. So that made a difference.
Did you get into football because of the love of the game, or did you get into football because of the love of what could come from the game?
100% love of the game, 100%. I started off, so I can tell you like my story of football.
Yeah.
Basically started Sunday League, like everyone does. And I actually had a horse paddock next to my house. And when I first ever played football, I galloped around like a horse. And my older cousin was like, Steve, it's not going to work out, mate. Just let him go. Like, he's not going to play football. And then eventually I started getting better and better. My first trial was at Dagenham Redbridge. Didn't get him. Went back to Sunday League. And we had like 2 different teams, Sunday League, yellow team, blue team. Blue team was always better than the yellow team. And I thought, is this really going to work out? And I saw a lot of the lads go on trials for Ipswich. As the time went on, I ended up getting scouted for Ipswich. During my 6-week trial at Ipswich, Arsenal came in for me, because what I used to do is I used to train at Ipswich and then I'd drive down to Potter's Bar in London and do extra training with like a one-to-one coach, and he'd get my touch going, just getting me really, really like agile and stuff. And a lot of the parents at Ipswich was like, you can't do that. Like, to my dad, you can't get him to do extra training.
Why?
Exactly, because the club didn't like it. They didn't want me to do that. They wanted to train me because it's like taking away from what they're teaching me each day. They also didn't want the parents to get involved too much. Anyway, so I went down to Arsenal. The reason why I didn't get into Arsenal was because the guy who I got scouted from, the manager didn't like. Ipswich saw me go to Arsenal and said, we'll have you, we'll sign you. So I spent 2 years at Ipswich, and then I was the top goal scorer every season, played number 9, and then I got bought, essentially, by Norwich out of my contract at the end of the year. So I jumped up from Cat 2 to Cat 1. First year at Norwich, I was shit. Second year, I was the best player there. By that point, they'd already made up their mind, and I got released. I then got chucked back into the system, and by that point, because I was a pre-scholar, I didn't get any help finding a new club. So I went on a thing called, you can check this out on YouTube, I went on a thing called UK Football Trials, and I got scouted by, I think it was 9 clubs. I was about 16, playing under 23s as well. So it was quite a big achievement. I went to Fulham first, played with people like Harvey Elliott, did 8 weeks, didn't get in. Went to Birmingham, Jude Bellingham, didn't get in. These people I was competing against, I had to be 2 times better than. Ended up signing for Aldershot for 2 seasons, and now I'm playing semi-pro, trying to go pro. That's pretty much my whole journey in one go.
Oh, you still play? No.
Still playing, yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. I'm still trying to aspire to be a professional. It's just, it's probably going to start with National League, then go League 2, League 1. Do more of a Vardy sort of approach. But we'll have to see what happens.
What lessons did coming up through the ranks in football teach you that you apply to your day-to-day today?
I think a lot of human psychology, a lot of discipline as well, a lot of rejection. That's the thing when you're young and you play football, everyone will experience it. You just get a lot of rejection. And you have to They always highlight the bad points, right? What you need to improve on, what you need to get better at. You sit in these meetings as a young lad and you're face to face with an adult and they're telling you all these things about how he's done that better, he's doing this and you're not doing that. And it's just all about self-reflection, which is good in your adult life, but when you're younger, it can be a lot of pressure. But like a lot of human psychology, I learned a lot because let's say you get put on the bench, for example. You sit there as a young lad and you can see it for what it is at that moment. You know why they're making that decision and you just have to soak it up and get on with it. And you know when people are being deceitful as well and when they're not. Because, I've had so many occasions, I can't tell you guys, where you've got a manager who's managed a team previous and they'll just bring in their whole old squad and they'll just be like nudging elbows like, here you go, mate, there's your chance. And that was like, in short, kind of what happened at Aldershot a little bit. they brought in all these lads. It's like, oh yeah, my dad was at Aldershot. And I was like, oh yeah. You go home, get to Diggs. You're checking this guy up and you're just like, right, yeah. How many starts has he had for Aldershot? How many starts does his dad have for Aldershot? And then you go, right, okay, makes sense. So you do have to, like, it's a cruel world. That's one thing you do realise with football, it's a cruel world.
How do you juggle trying to make it as a professional footballer?
Great question.
And then trying to be an entrepreneur as well?
I
say trying to be like you are.
Yeah, I've had so many people ask me this question. I think when I was younger, I was doing that anyway. I was making like 60, 70 quid a day at school selling sweets whilst playing football. I'd get back from school. I tell you a funny story, right? Me and my sister, we hardly went to school. I don't really think my parents believed that school was going to do anything. I genuinely don't. My parents didn't turn up to one parents' evening. Baiting them out here on the podcast. But it's true, they didn't go to any of the parents' evenings. But I think I started loving entrepreneurship at school. Like I'd studied business at school, and I remember me and my mate Dylan, we used to get on the train and we just talk like we're talking now about business. And I was like, I know I can do this. My dad's a businessman. I'm a businessman. I can do this. How hard is it going to be to juggle football and entrepreneurship? And to be fair, I find it easy. I find it better.
What does your dad do? Just out of curiosity.
Heating and cooling company.
Okay. Was that as well whilst you were growing up?
Yeah, not really. So he got I think he got the company maybe 6 years ago now. Yeah, struggle. But we're at where we're at.
How much do you think that shaped you to the person that you are today, growing up in a family where the man of the house owns a business and depending on how the business performs is what's in the fridge or where you go away or what car you drive?
I think it was difficult, especially like during COVID times because, and towards the end of it, because it was like I never got to see him at all. Like he was just away all the time. And that was difficult, but I also realised what it took to actually be successful, which helped me a lot. Same with my sister as well. It's like, dad's away. We've got to look after the house. Like, we can't be fucking about here. So, yeah, I think that it was, there's a lot of lessons in there, for definite. But, yeah, it's not easy. Not easy.
Why do you still chase the football when... I mean, before we turn the cameras on, we're talking about the opportunities that you have, and I'm sure we'll get into them in a little bit. Is there not a part of you that thinks if I solely dedicate myself to this thing at business, which I'm already pretty good at, not to take away anything from your footballing ability, but we also know that like 99% of boys in the UK's dream is to make it at the top level and play football for a living. When you already are in a space where you could see some form of success and you can see a pathway to the top, why would you still dedicate a significant amount of your time? I mean, off the top of my head, 2 times training a week and a game on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hours that you're taking out of your working week. If you'd have just dedicated that 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it be, travel included, to your business, how much better off would you be at the end of the month? Do you get what I'm saying?
100%. I completely understand. And
what's still pulling you in?
Even like gym work and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I think I was born to do it. I just think I was born to play football. It's just every single time I play football, it's just a release. I just feel relaxed. It's like my sister as well. I think if she didn't sing, she'd just be lost. She just wouldn't know what to do. I think if I didn't have football, I'd just be lost. I wouldn't see I just wouldn't want to do anything else. Like, I think the one thing I would say as well, like, I wanted, with my football and my entrepreneurship, the easiest way I can put it into words is I wanted a bit more control over my life a little bit, instead of somebody always saying to me, like, this is where you stand. And it was like, if I can make my own money, I know where I stand. I'm good. And that was kind of probably one of the main reasons why I started it as well. Also, I think another thing as well, it made sense.
Well,
it just made sense. It's difficult to answer that question.
I want to play devil's advocate slightly with what you just said, because you said that you want control, right?
Yeah.
I would go as far to say we've mentioned it previously, but I feel like a footballer at the highest level is just a very well paid employee.
100%.
Be at the training ground at this time.
You are an employee.
You have to be this. We're going here, and you can't really say no. You're in the squad, but you're going to sit on the bench, but you still got to travel for 2 days to here. Like, where does the control then, like, your control gets taken away from you, if anything?
100%. I think is an interesting question. I'll ask you this question, right?
Go on.
Do you think, and this is where I think the system's so fraudulent, and you can see right through it, as a footballer, you can't say a lot. If you was to come out and say that the world's ending, everyone would be like, you're not going to get in the squad. Like, if you're a celebrity, if you're a singer, the reason why these people sign these deals is because they're not able to say anything. So you're under the thumb all the time. And I kind of just looked at it and thought, if it means that I might play at a bit of a lower level, but I get a platform and I can get a voice and I can inspire other people, I might just take that.
So if...
I think that's a better sign of somebody who's actually contributing to society and humanity.
Well, let's fast forward a year.
Yeah.
And let's say that you absolutely smash it this year at your semi-pro club and you get a little bit of attention from a championship club.
Sure.
That is looking
Or Arsenal
to...
even come knocking on the
Mate,
door
you're gonna
again.
ruin my story, bro. A championship club that's like pushing and pressing to be in the Prem. So you're basically 2 years away from the Premier League. That contract gets put in front of you. You know very well that when the contract gets put in front of you, they're second in the championship. They're absolutely killing it. They've got 3 games in hand. They're going up. You're going to play in the Prem next year.
Yeah.
Which then becomes that thumb, right?
For sure.
You also have a business which is leaving you multiple 5 figures a month, completely online. Do you sign the contract or not?
100%.
Really?
100%. I think the thing is as well, I feel like I could work around that.
I'm not saying that you couldn't still run the
yeah.
business. If
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
maybe drive the business with the personal brand that comes with it. But your main word that you used was control.
Because here's the thing, right? Let's say all of that plays out, which hopefully it does.
If that's truly what you want, I
I
hope it does for
actually
you
think
too,
I
bro.
could change something in the football industry in some way, because they'd be looking at me thinking,
Like the Dennis Rodman of the Prem.
what the fuck is this guy on? Like, this guy's just got his entrepreneurship stuff going on and he's still a footballer. How do you balance it? A lot of people ask me this question. It's really difficult to answer. I think a lot of the times, like even on nights out, people go, what actually are you? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I don't think it's that hard to juggle.
No, do you know, it's actually not, to be fair, because like I just knuckle down. Do you know the only thing I would say though, like it is difficult with personal relationships and like going to family events maybe and stuff. Like I've had to say no a lot of the times, but that's where like people know who I am and they can see I'm authentic, because they're like, if somebody says, do you want to come here? And I say, let me just check my calendar real quick. I've got nothing going on, but no. Like, people don't know how to say no anymore.
Yeah.
Just say no. If you've got stuff going on, just say no. And that's where, like, I think I can see somebody if they're authentic by just saying no all the time. Like, if somebody says no, I'm just like, okay, cool. You've got stuff going on.
Ask me a question.
You want
What do we think of Tottenham?
No.
I think as well, like to go along with that and to add to the point is, it's a nice feeling when your word actually means something, and I feel like it's a nice characteristic to portray to other people.
100%.
Like if you say yes, you're actually going to be there, and if you say no, you mean it, and there's no FOMO involved.
The yes means more. When you say yes, it means more, because people are just like, okay, he actually wants to be here right now. And I've said no to like so much. It's a joke, but
What it
you have
takes.
yeah, it's what it takes. And I'll literally do whatever it takes.
What's a high value man in your opinion?
It's a great question. I think the simplest way to put it is somebody who leads with integrity, somebody who can... I think a lot of it is looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm exactly who I say I am. I've got a checklist of tasks this morning, and regardless of how I feel, they're going to get done. And at the end of the day, I'm going to look at myself and say, I've got nothing left in the tank. Like after this podcast, I'm going to drive home and I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to be knackered. That is exactly what I think a high value man is in terms of himself. I think there's other areas to it as well. Like,
talk to me.
Looking after loved ones, looking after your family. I think putting other people's needs before your needs, being selfless. Sometimes you have to be a bit selfish before you're selfless. And I think that's a difficult thing to balance. I think being able to also look at yourself and say, I'm trying to succeed in every area of my life and not just one. Like I was having a chat with a guy in the gym the other day and he was just like, all I want to do is get big. I just want to come in here, have my protein, go home, and that's it. And go to college, and that's it. And I was like, but you don't know how to talk to women. I was like, you're not making money. I was like, so you're not trying to improve every area of your life. How can you call yourself a high-value man?
I had a situation like this yesterday, and I actually filmed a video for my Snapchat private story, and I had a call coming in halfway through filming it, and I just didn't, the thought went, and I was like, oh, it's enough. Don't need to do it. But I was driving through Birmingham City Centre yesterday, and I was at some traffic lights, and there was a bus stop to my left. And I remember looking at this dude, and you know these gym bros that are in like those kind of baggy tracksuits, the tracksuit top that I would put on, and it looks like I'm wearing a fucking onesie or a blanket, yeah?
Yeah. The Sam Sulek type.
Like, yeah. Like, it was like glued to him, like someone spray painted it onto him.
Sure.
And I just looked at him and I was like, for you to be in that shape, that shows me that you have discipline, you're consistent, you can stick to a plan, you can go to work, go to war on the days when you don't want to. But you're waiting for the fucking bus.
You've got the foundations, but you're not putting them into place.
It was just, I was looking at him and I was like thinking in my own head, like if you just gave a fraction of that energy towards your job or towards starting something. I don't know his situation. I might have it completely wrong.
Could be a millionaire pie.
But I think it starts with belief, though. I think that is the whole thing, is the power of the mind of like believing you can actually do it.
But did he not believe that he could get in incredible shape? And then went on to do it.
You're right, he's got the foundation.
But he still stood at the fucking bus stop.
Yeah.
Waiting for the 369 to take him home.
And you know the funny thing is, all somebody needs to turn around to him and say, the richest people in the world are not the smartest people. They never will be. It's the people with the most grit.
Yeah.
Who can sit down every day and just keep on doing it repeated after and after. So he's got the foundations to do it, but somebody just needs to tell him.
I feel like I kind of just want to, like maybe he's just not interested in, I don't know, starting a business or taking his career to the next level. And like maybe just genuinely what does make him the happiest in the world is just getting bigger. And that's not me saying like that's the right thing or the wrong thing, because there is no right or wrong. Because like for me, like, and Chris, and for you as well, I assume from this conversation we've had, it's somewhere where improving in as many aspects as possible, like that's something that's important to us all, right?
Yeah.
100%,
But for him, it might just be like, he might just be happy going to the gym and getting big, and like, I don't know, maybe he's got his girlfriend at home, or he chills with his mom or whatever. Like,
I respect it.
He could be comfortable enough in his own skin to say no to all the other opportunities that might be coming his way, and the only thing that he wants to do is get as big as possible, do bodybuilding shows, for instance. That's not me saying that like there is a right.
You've literally just made me look like a horrible person.
I don't mean it like that.
I completely understand your point, and when I said I might be getting it completely wrong, I might be getting it completely wrong. Like, he might not even be waiting for the bus; he might just be stood there. Like, I don't know. But what I took from that was, if you just gave a fraction of the energy that you spent into building your physique into something that was going to give you some kind of financial, bro. If you are waiting for the bus on a Tuesday afternoon, on a Monday afternoon in the city centre, you're not doing that if you don't have to, bro.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's patterns as well. I think you can identify whether somebody's going to be successful based on patterns.
What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, sorry to mention this, but like COVID, I knew COVID was a scam just by the patterns of what they were doing. You can easily identify it. And I think part of it was there's a massive failure in the West, like with masculinity at the minute. Everybody, you can see it. It just is what it is. Luckily, Trump's in now, and maybe he can make a difference. But I believe that it's all power of the mind and understanding where the patterns lie. Like COVID, for example, and I always use COVID because we all went through it. Everybody went through it. They used emotional arguments the whole way through the process of COVID. They said, your grandma's going to die. Grandma. And all the women in the house went, oh, like, I'm feeling a certain way. Maybe you're correct. Where there's masculinity and God, how does God show love? It's like a disciplinary love. It's like, we're going to put you on the bike, you're going to fall off the bike, and then we're going to put you back on the bike again. And I think the fall of the Western world is because we haven't got masculinity. And it's like, we should be turning around and saying, right, let's just remain patient with everything. And if you can remain patient, you end up, everything unfolds itself.
So does Tate have your vote for PM then?
100%.
Yeah.
That's what we said. Zero hesitation as well.
My mom actually said that she was going to vote for him as well.
And do you know another thing as well, right? I genuinely do think the only reason why is because of that reason. Is because men have just lost their essence. And like, even me and Diego were discussing this. It's just like, if we could bring that back, everything. And do you know another thing as well? I was chatting to so many girls about this. They want that to happen.
Of course they do.
They're desperate for it to happen because they're just like, there's so many girls. You see their TikTok and just like reposting, where are all the good men gone? I'm like, they are gone. I'm not even disagreeing with that. They are gone. Like, I could sit down.
Makes it easier for us.
Yeah, it makes it easier for us. It makes it easier for us. I could literally sit down with a girl now on a night out, have the most logical conversation. By the end of it, she's in love with me. She's sitting there thinking, this guy knows so much information. I've never heard this before. Like, where is this perspective coming from? It's just a massive shock to the system.
You made me think now, and I've never had this thought before. Is it the fall in masculinity or is it the rise in femininity? Is it femininity? Because, and let me...
I wouldn't say a rise in femininity. I'd say a rise in feminine masculinity.
Either way, however you word it.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
100%.
The reason that I say that is because I know that my dad is a strong man. I know that he's a masculine man. I know that your dad is. I don't know your dad, but I'd assume the man that you are, he probably is as well.
Yeah.
So like, there's 3 from the past generation, right? Like, are the numbers still the same? And it's just, they're still masculine men, but they're getting outshone through the feminine energy, let's call it, that is coming up now.
I think there's 2 ways to look at it, right? When you see a big jack guy walking down the road, you'd instantly think this guy's a masculine man. I don't. I look at him and I think, what are your values? Like, if we was to talk face to face, are you actually going to understand any sort of female psychology? Like, could you get a girl to love you for 2 years? Guarantee the answer is no. Like, not all the time, but it can be the case. I also think another thing as well, feminists, they're not slandering all men. They're looking at 2% of men. It's like, all the men have the good jobs. Most men do not have good jobs.
Yeah.
Most men are sitting in their basements depressed. Like, and my sister's on board with it as well. My sister's jumped on podcasts sharing similar opinions to what I've got, and all the girls going, huh? She's gone, I've got a younger brother. No, but it's true. I do think it's an interesting point because I've seen, I don't know how to frame this in the right way. I think there is a rise in women being a little bit more masculine, for sure.
I feel
it's like a pendulum. Like, it's going to swing. Like, I think a lot of the times, what has happened before is going to happen again. Past things will always repeat themselves. It just happens. It's like, okay, we've gone a bit too far here, and now
I think we've just come into a transition.
100% because of Trump transition.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the awakening started a little bit before then, to be fair.
Yeah, the guys that were awake, but now it's becoming more accessible to the rest that, or maybe it was hidden from them, or they didn't open themselves up to the idea of it.
You go deeper down the rabbit hole, right? You look at everything there. I mean, the system is designed to keep you in the system. That's what they want you to do, right? And I think even at school, what their aim is is to teach you how to show up for the system.
Of course it is.
They're not there to teach you how to be your authentic self and how to follow your dreams. I mean, like, it's so funny because, like, I know this younger lad, he finished school and said, oh, mum, dad, they've sat me down and said, I can't do that. And they even sat my parents didn't go to any of my parents' evenings. They didn't see the need to do it. So my headmistress called my mum and dad in and said, right, my mum was like, he's going to be a footballer. And she turned around to my mum and was like, you know, Mrs. Gage, that's really difficult. And my mum was like, we know. And just sat there. It's like, we know. Like, everything's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you give it a go, you're never going to know. Life's too short to not give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you said about how the system is set up to keep you in the system, if we go like deeper into that, you can't wear those shoes, you have to wear these shoes. Your skirt has to come this high or this low.
For sure.
Your tie must be done that way, not this way. Can't have it fat, it needs to be slim. Can't have your jumper off at this time of the day. Turn up at this time of the day or you get disciplinary. We're going to have the lunchtime at this time. You're going to clock in at this time. You're going to clock out at that time. And during those periods, you don't have any say on where you are, what you do. You just follow instructions. That sounds like a 9 to 5 to me.
Sounds like prison.
But is that not what I feel like I'm not disagreeing, by the way, but is this not what entrepreneurship is, though, except it's even more intense and more regimented, right?
No, it's not, because it's a choice.
I think the one thing with entrepreneurship, when I started properly diving into it, I kind of thought to myself, I'm going to have to spend 2 years at just ignoring everything just to really understand any of this. And I mean, I'm heavily dyslexic. So at school, I didn't understand a fucking thing. I'd sit there at the back of the room with my best mate, flicking peanuts at each other, looking at each other going, do you get this? And we're like, nah, let's piss off. Let's go somewhere else. And we did. I literally got away with murder at school pretty much. I could do what I want because they just knew that I didn't care. And even with my parents, like, they tried to get me to do stuff, and I'll go deeper with it. It's like, even at primary school, gave out the normal, like, jelly babies for rewards. Even if I had a good day and I got a reward, I'd give it back. I don't want it. I don't want to be in this situation. I just felt trapped.
What, from that age?
From that age, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know whether to be impressed or scared.
Or scared, yeah. It's weird. It's so weird. I can't describe it.
And the thing is, you took the word out of my mouth before I even finished it, so now I think I am scared.
It's weird. Like, people used to look, like, especially at school, I joined my sister's secondary school. She's 3 years older than me. Mm-hmm. I had these long, like, Rapunzel curly hair. And you can imagine I've turned up. And instantly, I'm a target because I've got my long hair. And I just didn't fit in. It just didn't make sense. I was never, like, bullied or anything like that, but I just didn't fit in at all.
I feel like, well, for me personally anyways, the issue with school isn't it being regimented, because I, like, on a personal level, enjoy living a regimented life.
For sure.
That's just how I like to live. But what the issue that I think that there is with the modern day school system, that, well, I say modern day, it's been completely the same for the past 500 years or however long. I think the issue is that it doesn't cater for people individually as to what they're interested in and how they learn. And for me, that's the issue. It's not so much it being regimented and show up at this time and you have lunch at this time, because I block out from 12:30 until 1, like, so no one books a call with me, so that I can have my lunch. And, like, I wake up at 20 to 6 every day because I like to wake up early and get my workout in and get to the office for 9:30 after I've had my breakfast, stuff like. I like being regimented, but at school, I'd have full-on arguments about the school system with the teachers. It was like year 10 was when me and my pal Sam Horsborough, we used to have these arguments with our form tutor. And it was more so because of how we learn, and it wasn't like the system. Because whatever it is, there's always going to be a system. If you've got a business, you need a system for the guys that you work with. If you go into a job, whether it's high pay and low pay, like bus drivers, first thing that's come to my head because they're at the bus stop.
That's a great point, yeah.
It's always going to be regimented, like, and for me, I thrive being, like, regimented and disciplined to, like, what I do throughout the day. Like, I like having my set things to do, but it's how you learn. I
think it's interesting as well, like, off that point. Like, I know Conor McGregor, he did a video the other day and he was like, I don't do anything before 3 o'clock. If you're a nighttime person, that's absolutely fine because that's what you're suited to. I mean, as soon as PE came along, I was ready to go. I was on it. Everything in between, I just wasn't interested.
The point you've just made, and I think it goes on to your point and then goes back to my previous point, was that he had the choice to say, I don't do anything until 3. He may still be regimented after 3.
Yeah.
But it was his choice. And it's your choice to wake up at 20 to 6. It's your choice to have your lunch at that time.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, in terms of the school system, like being regimented, like just like this. I don't know.
But it's a direct copy and paste of a day of somebody that wakes up and goes into the city to work, or a kid that wakes up and gets the bus and goes.
I think the school system, what it does is, for me, the reason why I hate it so much, and I use the word hate, I do hate it. It takes away your shine from the world. Like that's what it does. I can agree with that. Because what it is, it's like I've seen so many people that I went to school with that were in their like element when they turn up, and now they're in the real world. I'm like, you are struggling. Like you just are not the person that I thought you might have been. And it's not because you haven't got potential. You have got a lot of potential. But for some reason along that journey, you've been thrown out of the chicken coop and now all the foxes are there and you don't know how to defend yourself.
Have you watched the film Central Intelligence?
I have, yeah.
That's like Kevin Hart and his character in there.
Yeah.
Golden Jet.
Yeah.
The Golden Jet.
You've actually made me think.
Golden Jet.
Golden Jet. When I was at school, when I was in secondary school, I remember there was this kid called Sam Churchill. I remember his name. Like he was like one of the brightest kids in our year. Like,
can I just pause you real quick before you carry on? I don't want to interrupt, but the smartest kid is always the most well respected because in his domain at school, everybody wants to be smart. You leave class, I got an A star. I'm just like, you're a nerd. But
well done.
They get respected for being smart.
Over athletes, over the hot girl, it always goes smart, athlete, hot girl.
Nah, it was always like.
Do you know what I mean?
Nah, not at my school anyway.
Maybe not.
But we were. So, Sam Churchill was the smartest in our year at school, and I remember me and like my pals and stuff like that, and like everybody's got their little groups, but like the boys at school, everyone gets on, and like we're all sat around in the fucking what do you call it, like a playground, I guess, sure. And we're all sat there, and one of like he was over there, whatever. Maybe we're taking the piss out of him, maybe we said something. He was there somewhere else, like in the distance, and like all the boys were going like. Like he's gonna be really, really successful one day. Like, and I remember the exact scenario. In fact, we were sat on the grass next to the playground, and in my head, I was thinking like, I'm gonna be really successful, but I'm not fucking like, no one's saying that about me just because I'm not smart. Like, what? Doesn't make any sense.
I think you're smart.
Thanks, mate.
Bromance, love it. but it's interesting what you're saying because. When you see people and they say, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm like, why are you still affirming it to the world? Like, now I'm looking at you and thinking, I'm not sure I trust this person. I actually don't think you're a good person now. You keep on saying it. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a different point, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I was actually going to say a point before as well, like just following on from what Chris said about, like, I obviously, like, Connor chooses to start his day at 3, yeah, or... for instance, like whatever it is, for me deciding to start my day in the morning, it's still like the fundamentals of school. Like, yes, it does start at 8:30 or 9. I can't even remember when school finishes and starts. What is it, like 8:30 until 4? I think something along those lines. Like, there has to be like a certain point though where it's like people do need to go to school like at the times. Like it's not going to be like, oh, some people start at 8, some people start at 4. Like, and you can't pick and choose because they have to make it happen for like and suit.
I don't think that's what I'm getting at though. My point is that it's a complete copy and pastable model, a complete copy and pastable system to when you come out of school and you go into your job. It's the exact same thing. And what do they want you to do? They want you to leave school, go to college, go to university, get in debt, go to the job that's going to pay you
and it
not very well.
It works really well.
And then keep working this job where you wake up every morning the same time you did when you were 10 years old going to school, you finish the same time you did when you were going to school, to then potentially get some kind of money at the end and then your pension, and you now can live your life when you're 55 and in a fucking wheelchair.
It's like they want to take your time away as much as possible. It's like, how long can we keep them here before they wake up and realise? And some people never wake up. And I think another thing as well, a planned life, boring. Imagine waking up every single day and it's just like, I know exactly where I stand with everything. That's boring.
Yeah.
Some days you want to wake up and go, I'm jumping on a yacht today. I'm going to do something really outrageous because it's going to end. And it is going to end. Mm-hmm. That's how risky it is. It's going to go. And I think another thing as well, it's more, you go to college, do you really need uni unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer? Like, I've got a mate called Cameron, right? And he pivoted with his uni degree. He's now doing music and he's working in the same studio as H, right? Big up Cameron, wherever the camera is, gangster. And he turned around to me and was like, best decision I ever made, because I do what I love and I've put myself in a situation where I turn up every day, I love what I do, and I'll never get bored of it. On the other hand, I see people go to uni and I'm like, oh, after a year, you look fucking unhealthy. You're either skinny, fat, depressed,
addicted to drugs.
And then they're just like, right, what was the alternative if I didn't take the risky option? Traveling. Nothing against traveling because you're experiencing the world, but at the same time, you're still delaying your evolution. You're delaying who you're supposed to become, in my opinion. And even the whole thing of trying to find yourself, come on, man. Like, what are you finding on a beach?
I can't put myself in...
I don't think you find anything doing that.
I can't put myself in this situation because I feel like I always had a clear vision of who... Not what I was, where I did it, how I did it, but who I was.
That's it. That's what you need.
I always had that clear vision.
That's the Simon Squibb thing. I like Simon Squibb. At first I didn't, but now I do, because what he's trying to make you realise is who you are. It's like, what is your thing? Mm-hmm. Monetize that. That's the thing that you're supposed to do. And eventually you look at it and you just think, I could have all the money in the world. You see these people that are born into like these dynasties, like with all this money. They are the most miserable people. Mm. And people are like, well, why would they be miserable? They're rich. It's just like money, that is just a materialistic thing. That's not going to bring you happiness. But what is going to bring you happiness is the process of getting there. I would much rather have a slow... My aim in life, and I always look at people that are giving me advice, this is from Dan Bilzerian, I'd much rather have a slow burning success than just make it tomorrow. Because if you make it tomorrow, you're missing out on a whole chunk of life that you're supposed to have, to learn, to go through, to feel pain. Like, embrace that pain of the journey. And it's like the Jimmy Carr thing of, it's not actually the journey, it's who you become along the way. That's really the fun bit.
It's the skill sets that you unlock a lot, like to actually earn the right to achieve or attain this quote unquote thing that you think is success. And you only become that along that journey.
And I think a lot of the reason why people don't start is because they're just hesitant, they're scared. Do you know what? I was actually having this conversation with a girl and she was like, oh, I've got a load of anxiety before I go on a night out. And I'm like,
don't go
that word just probably didn't even exist 30 years, 40 years ago. It was just like pent-up anticipation. Like, before I came here today, I had pent-up anticipation. I was a little bit like excited. What's it going to be like? What are you guys going to be like? Mm-hmm. What's the room going to be like? But then you have to kind of take a step back and be like, actually,
just jump.
Let's just jump.
Doesn't even matter.
Let's just take the leap, because who gives a shit?
I think the biggest risk is not taking a risk.
That is it, yeah.
And falling into that, I mean, quote unquote, rat race that so many people like to refer to it as, but it's boring, it's repetitive, it's the same. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe I'll live when I'm 50. Like, isn't that a bigger risk?
Do you know what's really, really dangerous, right, with the whole rat race thing? Is being profitable off the rat race. And this is where I stand on this. It's like, if you're a really rich banker but you have to clock in hours every single day. You're not free, but you could possibly buy a Ferrari. You could possibly buy a Lamborghini when you're a little bit older. And you'll meet these people and they've got no conspiracy theories. They think everything happens on purpose. Mm-hmm. And you look at them and you sort of think, you really don't have a clue. Like, you just don't have a clue with what's going on at all. And it's because they're benefiting off the rat race.
Whether
You're actually better being lower in the rat race than higher up.
Well, yeah, to experience some kind of pain to realize you need to change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I've been there where, not in the rat race, but I've been there where we're at a stage where we're struggling within our business, and I'm seeing somebody that maybe didn't take the risk that I took, that is now doing 5K a week in their 9-to-5 job, which I never wanted. But looking at this and looking at my pay slip that we are just about scraping to give out to each other from the business and being like, is that what I just worked 80 hours for?
It's difficult.
And do you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at that rat race and being like, should I have done that? Should I have done that? But then you can flip it and say that the money will come along that journey. And now I have that financial freedom ticked off. But I also have two things that he'll never have.
100%.
The location and the time freedom.
And do you know what I actually think? I think human beings, like, innately, you've got I think some people do enjoy that slave program a little bit. I don't really like using that word slave, but it's like, I do think some people just, they look at the world's problems and they can be quite big, and it's like, I personally think everything's backed by violence a little bit. The world doesn't operate without violence. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm speeding down the M25 at 110 miles an hour. Whether I like it or not, I'm getting something in the post saying, you've committed this crime. Now, I feel an obligation to maybe turn up to court, because if I don't, I know the police are going to knock on my door. So it only works. The only reason why the system works is because it's backed by violence.
That's an interesting take.
If it wasn't backed by violence, no one would have the takes that they have, because it's like, all right, okay, cool. If I disagree with this person's opinion, I've now got to be willing to back it with my words, and I've also got to have enough
to back it here
willpower to then go. Because let's say I had somebody who's considerably weaker than me, and I turn around to him and say, 2 + 2 now equals 5. He goes, no. I go, yes. And I go, let's fight. He goes, it's 5. Violence. That's all it is.
Honestly, going back to, like, obviously everything to do with, like, the rat race and, like, I don't know whether people are doing good, bad, 9 to 5, they decided to take the jump. I think, like, ultimately, like, it's something that, it's an external factor that none of us can actually control, and it's very individual to what the person wants out of life. And even if they've got the balls to take that jump, and whether they do or don't, it's an external factor which doesn't really affect us or anybody listening, like, to the decisions that they want to make.
Yeah, I think for me, I just want, like, I want men to experience the fullest experience they can. It's an interesting point. Do you know one thing I would say as well? I've seen a lot of guys who have the capability to do what I do, but they decide not to because they just want that easy.
Everyone's capable.
Everybody, yeah. I think everyone's
capable.
Everybody to a degree.
Listen, people have different skill sets, etc. But everybody's capable to go and do something great. Or to make it, like, fair, 99% of people maybe, or even 90%. But the majority of people are more than capable. We all have access to the same tools. We all have access to YouTube to go and learn whatever we want, or the same courses that we can go and buy online.
The information's there.
Yeah, everything is there. It's just down to the individual and what route they decide to take to go through life.
Do you know, it's interesting? I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and I was like...
And also what their idea of great is.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's the thing. Like, some people... And even going back to masculinity back in the 1950s, like, masculinity was just having a job inside the system. Like, not to everybody, but it was being a strong man. Like, food was cooked for you at home, but, like, you had a job inside the system. You provided for you and your family, and you were strong if someone broke in, etc. Like, all of these other things. Like, that was masculinity back in.
That was
the
also
1950s.
somebody that was a successful man, right?
Also, I think another thing as well, without the system, everything would collapse. Like, you can't turn around and say that.
Who's going to pave the roads, bro?
Exactly.
Who's going to do all
And-
these other
and
things
this
that we're
is
thankful
You need
for?
somebody to flip the burgers.
This is why, though, this is why I think as well, we need to be embracing these people more. Like, we should be almost nurturing them a little bit more to, like, really praise them. It's like, there was this girl, I remember we were out the other night, and she goes, oh yeah, but women would be fine without men. Like, if all men fell off the planet. I was like, the very
stupid
building you're in is there because a guy's decided to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and build it.
And the architect,
Maybe you should walk.
this could be sexist, but the architect was most likely a man as well.
Yeah, you should probably walk past
Bruh.
the next time you see a building site and
Statistically,
say
I'm probably
thanks.
correct.
Be more grateful for stuff. That's probably why a lot of people don't end up where they end up, because they're not grateful as well.
To go back to my previous point, like, the system that's been around for the past however many thousands of years, like, that's the external factors that I'm talking about, which no one, like, there's not one man that's going to be able to wake up tomorrow, even if it is Trump or, like, someone who is the like, absolute pinnacle of world power. There's not one man that's going to be able to, like, to genuinely have the power to wake up tomorrow and say, like, okay, the system is fucked, like, even I designed it, but tomorrow it's going to change. Like, that would never happen, ever. Like, it's an external factor that just cannot be changed.
I think another thing
Can be altered though.
Can be altered,
Tweaked,
potentially.
refined,
Do you like
optimized.
To what extent?
a question for both of you, right? I think as men, obviously we're logical beings, right? We look at what's going to work, what's not going to work. If the most beautiful girl walked in the room right now and you had the option to decide if you worked in Starbucks or you owned this massive conglomerate, whatever it is, what are you going to say in order for you to win her approval? Mm-hmm. You're probably going to pick the one that sounds a little bit cooler, because you know that that's what works. This is what I'm trying to say to guys a lot more often. It's like, stop looking at what you'd like it to be and start looking at what works. Is she going home with that guy? Why? And then you've got your answer. And it's cold. The world is not a fair place. But you can't look at it and go, I want to change the world. What you have to do is change you first.
just compete.
And just compete and use... And also another thing as well, if you don't compete, you lose.
Get fucking swallowed up, bro.
It's black or white, bro.
Compete.
It is black or white.
That's one thing that football taught me.
Yeah, same here.
I'm not the biggest dude.
Yeah.
On the ball, great. Can see a pass, great. Can shoot, great. But I'm not the biggest dude. So when I'm having a bad day at the office, which happens, what does the gaffer put his arm around you at half time and say? I need you to pull your fucking socks up and I need you to fucking compete.
100%.
Or you're coming off in 10. Go and compete. Why would you not want to compete? And if you can apply that in everything, and it doesn't need to be like, I want to be better than everybody. If you have that mentality, great. You'll probably achieve great things. But just go and compete. Try and be the best that you can be. And if somebody's there to take your spot, you have to want to take that spot.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
And if you don't, if there's something in you that's like, oh, well, they kind of beat me to the punch, they should probably have it.
Yeah.
Bro, like, I've got no
Not
time
gonna
for you,
work.
bro. Just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just lose. Like,
yeah,
I'm
just
not
lose.
interested.
That's it. Just lose.
I think another thing as well, this is like me and my business partner, right? I consider him one of my best friends now. Like, he's a man of God. He's about to have a boxing fight on Feb 22nd. Shout out to Jamie. Hope
Come on, Jamie.
Smash the skeezer
Vamos.
up. But one of the things I like about him the most is that he competes. He's like, I'm going to go for this regardless of how I feel. And it's like, I trust that more than anything. Mm-hmm. When I see a guy and I'm like, he's kind of twiddling his thumbs like, I don't know because my girlfriend said this. I'm just looking at him and I'm thinking,
He's not a double alpha.
you ain't that guy, bro. Like, just go back to what you were doing because we've got shit going on.
Yeah.
I feel like this is for me, again, personally anyways, but the competition with myself, and like, it's quite cliche, but it's way more important than me thinking I have to be him, or him. I feel like me waking up every day and just wanting to like, I just wanted to be take myself to the max in whatever I do. Like if I'm going to go do a workout, I'm going to make sure it's the best fucking workout that I can do. 100%. Not because I've seen this guy in the gym every day this week and I want to beat him. I'm going to do that workout for me. Like, yes, like in business, you are going up against other people, but I'm doing it for no one else apart from obviously being in a partnership, like for the two of us and for our families and stuff. But on an individual level, like I'm going to come in and put the fucking energy in and become the best me inside business for me and for Chris as well. Like being in a partnership.
That's how
being
you
in a
get
partnership
the best.
Is like that as well.
That's how you get the best output of life as well. Is by competing against yourself. And this is another real big problem with our generation's social media. It's like you're comparing yourself to somebody, first of all, doesn't even know you exist. But second of all, has a whole bunch of different circumstances that you don't know about. So why would you even bother looking at somebody else? I mean, like I don't look at people's stories unless I think they're going to give me some sort of valuable information. I just don't do it. In fact, I've got everyone's stories muted on my phone. Even my sisters and her boyfriends, all of them. Just don't bother. I'm just locked in.
I respect that.
It's not because
I can't say I do the same.
It's not because I'm not interested.
Would it not have been easier to just like delete Instagram than like spend like an hour mute?
I use Instagram purely to just connect with people. Yeah. That's the only reason why I've got it. But I think, well, not the only reason, but it can be good for
still
girls
connecting with people.
Yeah. No, but I think mostly like I don't look at this person's holiday and think it's any better than mine. I don't look at your life and think, oh wow, it's so fantastic.
I used to do that when I was younger.
You'll realise as well when you meet these people. Like I've had very privileged. I say privileged because I've put myself in these situations, but it's like you walk into rooms with these people who are so high value,
so unimpressive.
So it's literally just you're just normal. It is the same.
I saw something once, and it was like the majority of stuff that you post is things that you don't usually do. And I was like, okay, like it makes so much sense.
It's
a nice way to put it, right? Because like people, they go on holiday somewhere they've never been. It's like the fucking 10 stories on, or like they've just bought a watch. It's like, oh, let me fucking like flex it like it's something normal or whatever it is.
Or it's actually something that somebody else has got that you thought was impressive that they've got it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I bought this or I've rented this Lamborghini in the exact same color that this influencer's got it. So I can post it and I'll maybe look a bit similar because he looks cool. I think he looks cool.
It's a sad world.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I said this on the podcast. I think it was with Rio, actually. It wasn't too long ago, but like, I can't remember if it's real or not. But basically, like, don't let I thought of this myself, by the way, read down my notes. Don't let other people's opinions control your decisions, like something along those type of lines. And like, other people's opinions, whether they're negative, positive, or like, the opinion being this thing that is like, even if that is what you're seeing on the other side of like your phone screen on an Instagram story, and it is a car or a watch, and it's like the opinion that someone else likes that and they've posted it and they think that it's cool, influence what you're doing, and you want to go and do that or be envious or whatever it is. Like, I don't know, being completely true to yourself and like understanding who you are internally as a person, not needing the validation, whether someone's got something or they're going to be impressed by you having something, is like where you truly become someone powerful.
100%. I think it's interesting as well because in terms of like the validation thing, sometimes you will post something and you're like, I would kind of like I want to be validated every now and then, which I actually think is not too bad. But at the same time, it's kind of like, if I don't post it, is anybody going to care anyway? So a lot of the times as well, if you don't actually show up, people are always going to be thinking about themselves. So if you turn up or not, no one's actually going to give it. They might care for a little bit, but not really.
You just fucking said it, bro. No one even cares.
No one cares,
and that's the thing that people struggle to wrap their head around. Is like, no one actually cares. Like, no one cares. They may care
for a split second.
At most, it's like 30 seconds. Yeah. And like, that's it. Like,
and this is where the quick success comes in as well, because if you get success really quickly, people turn off they don't care about you. They're just like, okay, cool, he's done well. Done.
The perfect example of the people don't actually really give a shit is that we can talk about some of the biggest names in the world that have passed or have been in the news for a scandal or have gone to prison or whatever. I mean, I don't know if you're on TikTok or not.
I am on TikTok.
But around the Martinez documentary that dropped,
Oh yeah.
all I was seeing was, let's do this GoFundMe, let's do this, let's do blah, 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 blah. They're still in that fucking prison cell rotting. And I haven't seen one video.
It's amazing how many people forget about situations now. It's like
It came, and it went.
I actually haven't
It goes-
seen, just for context, like what, I actually haven't watched the Martinez brothers documentary. What?
Oh, bro, I'm not going to give you a full context, but it's two brothers that basically they pitched. What they pitched in their defense was that they killed both their parents in self-defense.
The Menendez,
not Martinez.
No, I
Sorry.
knew what you were saying. I was
Yeah,
just thinking of the. I was sitting
butchered
there
it.
thinking- Yeah, Menendez.
Menendez.
What? And they killed their parents. They're in prison now.
They
But
killed their parents.
Why are
Yeah.
people saying
They
They
got
were
put down-
abused when they were younger.
Yeah.
Oh,
They got
shit,
abused and they
fucking
got
hell.
put down basically for murder because
Yeah.
they killed their parents in their own home and then basically tried to frame it on somebody
In one of the
else.
most privileged roads in America, in LA.
Wait, what I'm
By the
struggling
way,
to
I'll tell you
understand
that
is
is a fishy story, though.
why are people setting up GoFundMes for them? Or
Because
they did
after the
set up
Netflix
GoFundMes?
documentary came out, it showed deeper and deeper into the series that you got why they acted out. So
Okay.
it starts with these two brothers kill their parents. The storyline, the actual documentary the series was called Monsters. And as a consumer, you think, if you don't already know the story, that them two are the monsters and we're going to follow the story of the monsters. But as the series unfolds and they go to prison and then they go into court and they're speaking with their defense lawyers about how are we going to try and get this down to, what's it called? When you don't kill someone, but you kill someone.
It's like second-degree murder.
A second-degree murder or,
First degree.
no,
Manslaughter.
whatever, yeah. And then they start unraveling their story as to why they felt how they felt. And you then transition into believing that the parents were the monsters and the kids act on innocence in self-defense.
So the GoFundMes were for the...
So it's basically like, get them out, get them out, get them
Yeah.
out, get them out,
man.
get them out. The series is number one in Netflix, number one in Netflix, number one in Netflix. It's no longer number one in Netflix, and I haven't heard fuck all, and they're still in that prison cell.
100%.
So in short, the
They may
attention...
have a retrial, but it's not been talked about.
Exactly. And I mean, we're talking about a subject now that we probably don't know enough information about. But to further your point, people do care
Yeah.
for a small amount
For a
of
small
time.
amount of time. I'll tell you something else about that story is really interesting.
Go on.
This is how deep these things actually go when you really think about it.
The dad was like a politician as well.
Jose Menendez was part of the music industry, their father. And he was also a politician. And his best mate was whose mentor, do you reckon?
Did he?
Correct.
Mad.
And all of this, like, LA, Rodeo
Fires.
Drive, fires that have
Yeah,
just
I
happened.
don't buy it.
Why is this, like, it's just... it's like I keep on coming back to, it's the patterns.
Didn't like 40 potential witnesses or potential leads or basically the data of them, the files about 40 other people, i.e. your Jay-Z's and your Beyonce's and these kind
Leonardo
of
DiCaprio's
circles.
and stuff.
Yeah. All of that evidence was also coincidentally burnt in Diddy's house.
That
In the
actually
fires.
happened. Crazy.
Yeah, bro.
I think...
In the fires that happened because it was just really windy.
A side point to that as well, we can have a really interesting conversation about this. This is another reason why I think when you look at a lot of these celebrities, they all sound the same. And it's just like you've signed deals because let's say this podcast got the biggest podcast in the world, right? You would be
What do you mean?
you already are. Yeah. You would be given some sort of slip to say, right, you are... And this is another thing as well, like Mr. Beast. You look at one of his people just become transgender, biggest YouTube platform in the world, and it's like, that's not coincidental, that's purposeful.
I haven't seen him on a video.
They've got the kids. It doesn't, and all these platforms as well, it all makes sense because it's like kids no longer watch long films because they just get turned off, they get bored. And
What
it's
about
just
Joe
like,
Rogan though? Because I feel like he's got a pretty independent voice to himself and he shares his opinion freely.
could he
And
possibly
he's got the
be-
biggest podcasting platform in the world.
Could he be too big with the Tate stuff? Did Tate get too big? Somebody just decided, bang! Oh, he sounds.
I don't know. Obviously,
Why does a 56-year-old
I
man
don't know
sound
what
different?
I don't know what it is about Joe Rogan, but I feel like he's someone who is uncancelable.
I agree.
He's just the GOAT. But like, I don't.
Does it go back to violence though? because they know that he'll choke a motherfucker out.
I love the clip with him and Theo Von with this.
Oh, not that one. No, which one's that one? When he's trying to do the bear. Because this motherfucker's running at you.
But the thing is, Mel Gibson podcast is interesting. That's a good one.
But the thing is, though, going back to Joe Rogan, is like he's got the biggest podcasting platform in the world, and like everyone knows who Joe Rogan is. Like my mom and dad aren't really in touch with podcasters at all, but they know who Joe Rogan is. And like, I don't feel like I've ever listened to a Joe Rogan podcast, and I've never felt like he's hiding an opinion.
Do you think though that
I would
maybe
agree with that.
it's more to do? I completely agree. Do you think it's more to do with the fact that he hasn't got large influence though? Like somebody like Andrew Tate, I think if he actually wanted to, he could get 30,000 men on a street marching straight away tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd be there.
I think that's how much influence he's got.
I'd text Chris.
100%.
Vamos.
I'd back it just because I'd just be like, I know there's still. I don't know. Well,
we're probably coming across as proper fanboys,
Yeah,
but
fanboys,
I really, really, really appreciate that man, specifically at the start of our journey. He fired us the fuck up.
triggers something inside of you.
He got us up.
Yeah.
And even now, just speaking, like, I just felt the hairs on my face raise.
It's
Because I felt that.
Do you not think though, right, on a deeper psychological perspective, it's more to do with like a tribal feeling a little bit? Because I'll tell you what it is. I think all personal branding and how you come across to people, it's like, do you want a community? Do you want to become a part of our movement? Because we're going to conquer.
It's like that camaraderie, isn't it?
We're going to raise our flag. We're all going to wear the same colours. We're all going to be like... I've just been watching this thing called Vikings, and you see how the Christians believe in God, and they believe in like, I think it's Valhalla or something. It's like if they die in battle, that's how they go to heaven. Christians, we pray, we're dutiful to God, all this stuff. And it's like essentially all humans is we're picking what tribe feels like the best for us, for our survival. This is a lot of the time I say to people as well, what do you actually think the first thought that goes through your head every time you wake up every morning, subconsciously?
I don't want to get up.
I don't really...
That maybe your like actual thought, but like subconscious is like, how can I survive this 24 hours? That's all it is.
To be fair,
in my opinion.
I wouldn't say that I think that. I feel like I just wake up and, like I said, like I live a very regimented lifestyle. It's like, let's start the day. Just I don't really think too much. I just get out of bed and I'm like, it's time to go.
It's seeking subconsciously.
It's your subconscious mindset. But back in like, if you was to really, I'll give you another example as well. This is why girls can get over men way quicker than men can get over the girl, right? If we were, let's say I had a family, girl and a son, and I say to my wife and my son, I'm going to go out and hunt for the family. And I leave the cave and I come across a saber-toothed tiger. That saber-toothed tiger eats me. The likelihood of that saber-toothed tiger, it's going to follow my tracks and be led right towards my wife and my son, right? Because it's a tiger, it's got senses, right? They're going to die unless she goes and gets another replacement, somebody who can provide and protect for her. So it's like when you see these girls, they're just like, yeah, he was all right. And now I've got a new boyfriend. That's not because, that's just literally biology and instincts, in my opinion.
The example you've just given is great, but I feel like I disagree that females get over a relationship quicker than a male would. And let me just land.
Go for it.
We've already established that men are very logical thinkers, right? Sure. And females are very emotional thinkers.
100%.
And if you used an example of the cave back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use a similar example of that exact same caveman. Yes, he's gone out to hunt, but I don't think that caveman's going back to a cave with one woman and one child. That caveman inside biologically was created to spread his seed with multiple different people.
That's what God wants you to do as well. He wants you to do that.
And if we look in the animal kingdom, a lion will spread his seed amongst many different females within his tribe until a bigger, stronger, younger lion comes in and replaces him.
100%.
Now, females release this thing called oxytocin when they sleep with a man. That is the hormone of love.
Yeah, yeah.
That is what attaches them to a man.
Yeah.
Because back then, in the time of the
love,
cave,
that's their love feeling.
yes,
Yeah.
that woman would not have just been shagged on a Saturday night because someone's offered her a couple of drinks and said, "Do you want to come back to my penthouse?" That woman is with that man so that she can birth his child. And she's emotionally attached to that man. Regardless of whether he goes and does his seed there, whatever, her attachment is to him. And I feel like with the right girl, I believe that it's going to take her a lot longer to even think about being in that situation or that scenario with somebody else, if the love for the man was genuine.
So,
I would say that the man would be able to very quickly deattach and reattach.
I want to come in with a third point just to play devil's advocate to both of you. It's not a point that I've like massively think is like, oh, like this is what I agree with. But if you had a girlfriend, me and my girlfriend, whatever, split up tomorrow, I feel like we'd both be pretty distraught, upset, whatever. If you split up with a girlfriend tomorrow, you'd both be upset. Same with you, right? Is it, and I know that I've said this a lot on this podcast, but is it not just individual to like each circumstance in the relationship?
A lot of it is based on circumstance, but my counter argument would be, if she goes and sleeps with another guy, that's going to hurt you a lot more deeply than it's going to hurt her. Because women are willing to share high-value men. And the statistics show that women now are more likely to go for a high-value guy. And it's kind of like the law of, even it goes back to like sales a little bit. It's like whoever can walk away from the deal first wins the deal. It's also like she's willing to maybe compromise a little bit more for a high-value guy because he's less replaceable. It's like...
Well, it's like the lion. Until the younger, bigger, stronger lion comes in and can replace him, then I'm happy with you spreading your seeds across the other females within the tribe.
But I think biologically, women need protecting.
Yeah.
That's where it comes in.
I get that.
And also another thing as well, the point you made about like heartbreak in general, like it may take a woman this amount of time. It's not really about that. It's like when she does make that decision. I've seen a lot of guys ponder in their rooms for time, like mates of mine, they're just like stuck in their ways. So what happens if she goes for somebody else?
I want to say though, but no, and this is no offense to your friends. I think that I'm sure that they're probably great guys, but I know for a fact
exactly what you're going to say.
If something happened to me tomorrow in my relationship, I know for a fact that I wouldn't be sat around in my room, regardless of how I feel.
Yeah.
My life would not change. I'd still wake up every single day. I'd work out, come to the office, get to fucking war, go home, get into bed, probably watch a little bit of Netflix before I go to bed, read a bit of my book, go to sleep, do the same the day after. I wouldn't let outside emotions, external factors that I cannot change now because the decision's been made, whether it was on my end or her end, I wouldn't let that affect my life. Is that not down to the individual though?
100%. That's maturity. That's just understanding the dynamic of...
Well, it's how you deal with...
It's how you deal with
how you deal with the grieving of that person no longer being around. Do you use that grieving to get you down and say, oh my God, she left me?
And
do you get in the fucking gym?
I just look at you two and I just think that's because you've got your priorities, your mental models.
I was just going to say, I can actually give you a practical example of when I put this into practice. Sure. My old man was in hospital at one point, like one stage in my life. And I feel like the majority of people probably would have put their life on standstill, which I did, the majority of my stuff. But I still went to work and I took care of the business like my dad needed me to. And I still worked out every day while still juggling everything else and the other responsibilities that I also had to put on my shoulders. And it was regardless of how I felt, I was distraught and upset. But a lot of people, I say a lot of people, it's individual. Some people might have taken that route. Some people might have just stayed at home and done nothing and been upset and just gone to the hospital. But I don't want to say it made it easier, but it kind of did in a way. Because I don't want to say that I was ignoring the emotions because I wasn't, because I was still like really, really upset about everything that was going on. But I still woke up and I did what I had to do every single day to continue being the person that I wanted to be. And that didn't give me the time to be potentially like as upset maybe, or like, do you know what? Emotions, like regardless, like I moved emotions to the side and I still did what I had to do. And it's like, when it comes to relationship, if you split up with your girl tomorrow, for instance, if you had a girl, and you still woke up and did everything that you need to, you wouldn't be walking around your room wondering, what if, I'm really upset. And the same for her as well.
100%. I think you're completely right. It's about that mental framework of being able to continue with your purpose and your mission. That's kind of like back to the high value men stuff. That's what a high value guy does. He realizes that his mission can't be replaced. And this is another thing as well, why girls, they should be joining your mission instead of you going after them. And they don't want that. They genuinely don't want that. When a guy is just on them 24/7, it's just like, they're going to push that eject button before they push the, yes, thank you for giving me all this validation. Also, with social media as well now, it's like girls can get attention from anywhere. So you got to stand out in some way. You've got to be that guy that's like, I'm going to withdraw a lot of my... Because that's, as a man, like, your attention is everything. If she knows that she can move you off your purpose, hypergamy is no longer satisfied and she'll just go find somebody else.
It's a challenge.
I heard
it is a challenge. It's like a chapter novel. You've just got to completely unfold day by day. It's like, I'm not going to give away too much of everything about me. I've done that. I've been there. I've seen it. I've realised it doesn't work. I've sent that message in the morning of really proud of you. Doesn't work.
I was going back to you. Going back to you speaking about mission and going back to you speaking about mission and purpose, etc. for a man and how important it is. I heard something on a Chris Williamson podcast once, and during World War II, the men that come back from the men that came back from war that had PTSD, that were like basically in bed, like trauma, etc., like couldn't live a normal life, and they needed people to drive the fire trucks and be firemen. The instant that was a thing and men had purpose, suddenly they were all, I don't know to what extent, but they were to an extent cured, and they went out and they had purpose and they completed the mission.
They were catatonic.
So that's a nice word. What does that mean?
It means that they couldn't physically get out of hospital. So I think I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it's a great story. I think that is the crux of what a man should focus on the most, is your purpose. And here's the thing as well, how they're dealing with men's depression, it should be completely different. A man should be 100%. Waking up every day and say to themselves, right, when I see a guy and he turns around to me and said, I want to be happy. So I'm like, so you want to follow that hedonistic route? That's all you want to do, because you want fleeting fun. You want to go on a night out. You want to take drugs. That's going to give you happiness in the moment. But actually what you're after is
short-term fulfillment.
Short-term fulfillment. You want to wake up every day and say, I'm proud of who I am.
That's true happiness.
What do we actually do it for? Like all of this, we do it for respect a little bit. You want respect from people. That's what's going to give you happiness. When you walk down the road and everyone goes, you've saved my life. Like, you see these influencers like Tate, like Justin Waller, they're getting actual fulfillment because they've realised they've saved somebody's life.
Mm-hmm. Can I be honest with you as well? Like, depression across the board, it can be a bit of a touchy subject, but I feel like I've got my opinion anyways. Like, the majority of people that you look at that are quote-unquote depressed, they tend to just like, maybe they just sit around, they don't really look after themselves, etc. They just woke up and did a little bit of exercise every day, and like they did something to work towards. I could almost guarantee that they wouldn't be depressed.
But they back it. That's what it is. You can be depressed, but I don't believe you can be a depressed
person. It's a state that you can be in. You can be upset. Yeah,
because
exactly. I agree.
You can put things into place to overcome that. But what you tend to find is you get these people and they go through life and they back depression like it's some sort of like their promotional team for the depression.
Do you think that fucking we share 99% of our DNA with a chimpanzee? Do you think that a chimpanzee wakes up and is depressed? And I know that some people are potentially listening, like, and they're like, why is H talking about a chimpanzee? But yeah. Like the fact is like the animal instincts, like even if you go back to cavemen millions of years ago, however long it was, like and we were close relatives, like even closer relatives to a chimpanzee back then, yeah, like whatever it is, like that feeling of depression isn't even there. They just wake up and get on with their day.
They just get on with it.
Exactly. The chimp isn't like, oh, I'm upset because she left me or anything. They're just doing fucking chimp things.
But why do we have that problem? Like,
that's an interesting.
What is the majority of the depressed person's thinking? Why do we have that in today's society?
I think the reason that's so it is so big right now is because there is so much to compare to.
I feel like it comes from comfort, to be honest with you.
Depression? What is somebody depressed about? They're depressed about their missus left them for someone bigger and stronger. They're depressed that their businesses went under. They're depressed they didn't get the promotion over this guy. They're depressed that their kids don't love them anymore. They're depressed that... What are they depressed about? These are all things where it's a comparison, or if you are just subpar to somebody else.
Comparison is the thief of joy to anyone that's listening.
So to counter my point of why are they depressed, she left me for somebody better. You're going to sit in your room and cry, or are you going to get better?
See, this is exactly what I was just going to get onto. Like, regardless of whatever the thing is that you're comparing yourself to, if that is why you're depressed, because some people might just be depressed with the state that they've got themselves into. Like, they might look in the mirror and not be happy. They might look at their business and not be happy, etc.
Fix it.
What steps are you going to take to fix that and change your life?
I think the problem is, right, and back to what I was saying about how the universe, how God intended to create it, was the first bit of the word. Everything you say to yourself,
you tell yourself you're depressed, you will be.
If you was to sit in a room with a therapist for 5 years, I'll give you an example. Robin Williams, right, an amazing actor, sat in a room for 7 years, took antidepressant drugs, spoke about how shit his life was for 7 years. If I spoke about how shit my life was for 7 years and reaffirming it to the world,
probably be shit.
I'd fucking kill myself. Because you're just reaffirming it. So what I say to people is pause. Your life isn't going completely how you want it to go. But what you could do instead is maybe go get a few friends, put yourself in a bit of a different scenario, and then work on yourself for a bit. See what happens. Because as soon as you get that first sign in the gym that you're doing quite well, it becomes addictive. And it's like your habits, they're going to dictate where you end up anyway. Yeah.
And like you said, if you are telling yourself, putting out these affirmations that I'm depressed, I'm depressed. There's an example that I've seen multiple times. You've probably seen it as well. But the two people that stay in a haunted house, one believes in ghosts and one doesn't. The one that doesn't sleeps all night, doesn't get disturbed, doesn't hear anything. The one that does is hearing things all night, saw the door move, the light flickered, did this, didn't that, got no sleep. They're in the same room. The only difference is that one of them believed that ghosts were real, and one of them said, now's bedtime, I'm going to sleep.
And here's the thing, I don't believe in things that take away the power from me at all. I just refuse to do it. It's like, if I walk through the world thinking that depression's not real, I know that my life is going to be considerably better. And it's like, why would I believe in something that's taking away my power? That doesn't make sense to me. It's like...
You said you can't believe in anything that could take away your power, but you told me that you believe in God.
I don't think God takes away my power, though. I think it enhances it. If I can leave it up to Him,
could God...
I feel a lot...
Is God not capable of taking away your power? Could you not wake up tomorrow and not be able to speak? And would that be taking away your power of how beautifully you can articulate and how you can speak to a girl and how you can close a sales call?
I don't know if I'd determine that to be God, though. It's a great question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
No, it's a great question. I always with God, I always go to the standpoint of, I believe He's looking for the beauty of His own creations. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you tend to find the people that get rewarded in life
are the best people.
Are the best people because they keep on showing up every single day. And He looks at that and goes, I like this guy. Like, I'm going to reward this guy with something. Yeah. And it's kind of like...
It's like Hormozy says it is, like, if you're going to create your ideal person...
What would you put them through?
Yeah. If you were going to create someone that was really, really disciplined, would you give them loads of easy tasks to do? Or, well, would you give them a few easy tasks to do? Would you give them loads of hard tasks to do? If you wanted to create somebody I'm butchering his quote right now, so I'm going to just rescind the point. But I think you both understand what...
If you had to create somebody great, what would you put them through?
Yeah, you'd put them through a shitload of hard tasks.
100%.
And I think that all the hardships that we have, H always says it, God tests you every single day. And how you come out of that test determines what the next test is. And it's going to take a certain amount of tests.
It's actually a longer... See, this is the thing with the celebrity thing as well, going back to that. When you put your faith in God, he needs his warriors. I mean, there's always, it's good or evil. You know, if somebody murders a baby, that's bad, that's evil, we know. If a baby's born, that's good, it's beautiful, right? Every person knows deep down that there's good and there's bad. You've just got to decide, if I want the quick route, if I want the quick, easy success, we're going to work, because... Back to the depression thing as well. All depression is, they're worshipping it. We're spiritual beings. They're worshipping the depression.
George Janko said it. It's like there's the dog in the dark, the dog in the light. Which one lives? And it's like the one that you feed.
Gets fed.
Yeah.
Khaled actually said something similar to what you've just said as well.
Shout out to Khaled, by the way. Clipping Army. Let's go.
Do you know Khaled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie Cumberbatch. Eddie Cumberbatch clips for him.
Yes.
Yeah. Sick guy though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said when you make a deal with the devil, he pays you up front.
Couldn't put it better myself. That's it. That's all it is. It's like we're just taking instant gratification straight away, which is the worst thing for any human, in my opinion. You don't want things to happen straight away because you're missing out on the fundamental part of life, which is the journey.
I want to speak to you about business, bro.
Let's do it.
Well, actually, do you know what? Before we get into it, give everybody a little bit of context as to what it is exactly that you do. Yeah,
so basically, in simple terms, I partner with somebody who's got influence on social media, whether they're a celebrity or influencer, and then we basically make a deal to monetize their audience by building them paid communities around their skill set. Now, the majority of the time, we're looking for people that have gone through a certain transformation, whether it's from fat to fit, always helps because people want to jump on board with their mission, join their tribe, join their community, and basically learn from the person themselves who they look up to.
How many creators are you currently working with?
So currently working with 4 creators, but I've also got another 2 creators that I do Clipping Army as well, which is all around building basically people that like making clips is the easiest way to put it.
I want to dive into that a little bit more because I feel like that's something that a lot of people are consumers of and don't really understand what's actually happening. So do you want to just dive into it? I mean, let's use the prime example we could use is somebody like Andrew Tate.
Yeah. So he's the perfect example of community. He's putting content out there and then basically monetizing his attention. That's all it is. And how he does that is by teaching people how to make money online. There's many different ways to do it. I mean, now you'll see influencers pop up. I mean, my business partner has just signed a creator called Jonas, I believe. He owns a Fuck It Lister community, helps people throughout the year basically do certain tasks like skydiving and stuff, and people want to join that community and I think he's done like 24K last month.
It's pretty sick.
Pretty cool.
Pretty dope.
And it's all marketing.
So what does your day-to-day look like? Obviously, we've touched on the fact that you're still an aspiring footballer, but away from that, what does it look like? How are you working around it, and how many hours are you actually putting into what you do right now? So
I can put in as many hours as I want is what I'm going to get out of it. But I mean, I'll wake up at 7 most mornings, have breakfast, get straight to work. And the majority of the stuff is basically managing the community at the minute. As soon as you sign the creator, you're putting marketing into place to make sure that people are coming through your process, whether it's a funnel, whether it's a flywheel, and you're nurturing that creator, helping them basically build the right systems, build the right content to get people into the community. And then from there, we're building its info products. So we're building digital products for the community members to excel in whatever they've joined up to, basically. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Dope.
And with the retention side of things, it's all about psychology, nurturing each member, making sure they're satisfied with the community, they're getting results. It's all acquisition, conversion, value delivery. If the product's shit, no one's going to buy it.
think you missed one. Retention.
Retention, yeah. I could say value delivery a little bit alongside it. That's how I look at it anyway.
True.
Because like with the value delivery side of things, it's like, are you nurturing the members enough? That's the way I see it. And you can have different access stacks to it where it's like the more they get access to the creator, the more they pay, the less access.
Build out tiers.
So some people like to go at their own pace. Not everyone likes to just jump straight into stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's, well, we know that this is a relatively new kind of
Pretty
model,
new.
right?
It's pretty new. It's like...
It feels like the SMM in like 2016.
Do you know what? I say it's new, but I think it's always been a thing. Like even like with Michael Jordan and stuff.
Well, even look at like the Sidemen.
Yeah.
Well, I say Michael Jordan was
True.
before then, but like the Sidemen with their manager.
I use Michael Jordan because it's like Nike saw him as a talent. He wasn't anything before he signed for Nike.
Created a product.
But they just knew that this guy was just going to be something. I mean, I remember, like, I think I watched a film about it and it's like Nike were competing against Converse, Adidas. They were way behind. They weren't even really an established brand at that point.
They actually
It was just running, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good film.
They go through it in detail
Yeah.
on the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I've not seen the documentary. I've seen the film though.
Wow.
Is it good?
That's an amazing series.
But literally, that is all it is.
Oh, wait, no, it is the film that I'm referring to. But if you haven't watched the Michael Jordan series on Netflix, please go and watch it.
I think for now, like...
You will understand what the epitome of a GOAT
Is.
genuinely is.
Yeah.
And what it takes.
I think another thing as well, a lot of misconception, like I can sit here for everyone listening and say that I've partnered with Eddie Hall, Tom Aspinall. I use them names because they're big names.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really the crux of the business model, in my opinion. I think what it is finding somebody who's got talent, who's willing to put in the work alongside you as a growth operator.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people you need to partner with.
It's a done with you service, isn't it?
100%, because these are the people that want to be something. They're aspiring to be something. I mean, I'll give you an example, right? Alex and Mosley spoke about this the other day. There was a girl with 6,000 followers on Instagram doing £1 million a month with her community. Insane numbers. And it's because she's got a dialed-in, engaged audience. She's built a personal brand. They know exactly who she is.
What's she do?
No clue.
She sounds massively
Couldn't tell you.
overpriced as well.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, with
Bro,
6,000 with a
it's
conversion, 10% conversion rate. What's going on?
Unbelievable. But like, I mean, there's a guy who just won the school games, which is a competition inside school.
Mm-hmm.
We can get more into that if you want. And basically, if you win the school games, you get flown out to Vegas. So my business partner is literally on his way to Vegas, I think, tomorrow, actually.
Sick.
So they buy him a villa. He goes out with his creator, goes out with like somebody else. It's all paid for and stuff. But there's this guy called Oscar Patel who's just basically teaching men how to look better. I mean, it's crazy.
I saw somebody
Is he
trying
the
to
blonde
teach.
guy?
Brown hair, brown kind of wavy hair.
I saw an ad on Instagram of somebody telling me how to be confident and that he's selling me a course.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck has this actually come to?
I saw.
mental.
I tell you, what, I saw
I suppose
The-
a certain
the
man
best-
might look at that and be like, I need that.
one of the best info products that I found was, so I checked out this guy's Instagram profile, asked him to come on the pod, whatever, and then instantly I got retargeted with his ads. His info product was, he gives you, obviously, I know CapCut's kind of fucked now, but, well, it's going to be sorted with Trump, but he gives you like something like 12 CapCut done templates per month that are like trending that he uses, etc. Like, and you get them fresh every single month where you just insert your videos. And it was something like $200 like a month, like for like the low ticket one. Then there's like $499 or something like that. And I was just like, bro, I was like, that is genius. And every month they just get sent out and you just get them on CapCut.
It's not like
I'll
he's not
give
going to
you
do 12 new videos every
I can give you guys some source right now, right, to help you guys out as well. If you joined School Masterclass, you join for, I think it's probably $150 per month now, and you get a free Go High Level account. So you just get free Go High Level forever if you join that community. So there are incentives there that you can put in place where it's just like, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't I sign up to this community? I get the information, I get the community, I get the nurture and help, and I get free software. Like, I'm not going to turn that down. Mm-hmm. Even like Iman Gadazi now, he's just decided, I'm going to put a 6-part mini-series on YouTube.
I thought it was brilliant, by the way.
I'm going to give everybody the software, and now you've got your own info product. It's just money glitching. It's ridiculous. So much money to be made. But it's all attention.
That's my goal.
I think now what online business is turning into is you've got to leverage AI somehow. It's all marketing-based conversion because people's trust is completely fucked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should see the trust statistics. They're fucked. It's like, we don't trust you. You have to somehow give us some information about you before we actually move forward. Case studies are everything. Mm-hmm. If you get people results, people trust you, and then you can just print money.
You place yourself in a position of authority straight away.
And if you don't, if you're whoever's watching this and want to start building your own info product, and you're like, well, I don't know how to get people results, focus on learning the skill first, and then straight after, just turn around to 10 members of your community and say, I'll work for you for free. Let's see if we can get you some results. Then you've got 10 case studies, and then you're ready to go. Start making content, make money. Done.
Vamos!
Vamos! That's it. But it is all case studies.
What does the next 5 years look like for you? 5 years' time, what are you manifesting? What are you putting out into the world?
Millionaire. 3 years' time, I'd like to be a millionaire. I'd like to be doing at least 150k monthly recurring revenue. Professional footballer. Bit more following on social media, hopefully.
1 minute, does the 150k monthly recurring revenue involve your football contract or not?
100%.
Right.
Hey,
We've got to be optimistic here.
Who do you want to play for?
I'd like to be fair, I mean, I would like to go back into like National League to start off with, especially like over the next year or two. Next season, I'd like to be a pro, like National League level. And then if I can move up to League 2, League 1, I'd be satisfied with that. I think for me personally, it's like...
I need to see you ball a little bit, man.
Bro, I'll send you some videos.
You're an Arsenal fan?
No, West Ham.
Oh,
what a liberty.
Yeah. I would be an Arsenal fan, but my whole family's from West Ham. I like Arsenal. What about you?
Yeah, we're both
Arsenal.
Yeah, London's red.
I got a little bit of sour taste in my mouth when I didn't get signed for Arsenal because I was desperate, like really desperate. And I had a really good trial, but like I said before, it didn't work out with the guy who I was with before. So
Yeah, God's got a path for us all, bro.
100%. Do you know what? I think the best club I ever went to was Huddersfield, if I'm truly honest. They looked after me really well. It's just the culture was fantastic. How they looked after you as a player was really good. Fulham was probably the worst experience I had with the best players, best academy footballers. You had like Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, and they were fantastic. Birmingham as well was all right, but it's
just what?
Trying to get in over Jude Bellingham.
Wait,
was a problem.
Jude was playing in the 10 and...
I was in the 10. So I was literally there to take his place, which obviously...
Yeah, but I mean, if we weigh it up, I mean, he won Player of the Month last month in the La Liga, won the Champions League, represented his country at a national tournament. But you're on the Gooms podcast.
Exactly.
So...
I'll tell you an interesting story about when I was at Birmingham, actually. So I stayed in Diggs when I was up there, and I got in a cab with his younger brother in the morning. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, like, he was talking about everything that he was doing. But he was so focused on getting laceless Adidas boots at the time. And I was thinking, what the fuck is he on about? How much money do you reckon he was getting paid just to go from laces boots to laceless boots at the age of like 15, 14, I think.
Talking about Job or Jude?
Job.
How much?
How much? Just endorsements.
What, like monthly?
From monthly, yeah, from Adidas.
Probably for a couple of K up.
5K.
I was going to say like 15, 20.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just to wear the laceless boots, they were going to give him an extra $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
At 15.
I think he was probably 14, actually.
That is nuts.
Crazy.
Was that an offer that was just put forward to him because of
he was? I think
or?
Jude had the laceless boots, and he was just like, I'm aspiring to be like my brother. So he was after it. Yeah.
Did he get it? Probably did.
Probably did, yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty well. They're both fantastic footballers. They deserve to be where they're at. I think that's the thing that bugs a lot of footballers.
What?
It's like, if you see somebody progress through the ranks and they don't end up getting where they get to, that's almost like a detriment to the football system. Whereas if you see a player and they're like, right, they deserve to be... I mean, I played with a lad at Norwich called Jonathan Rowe, baller. Probably the best player I played with. He's now at Marseille. he's exactly where he should be, and he's fantastic, and he deserves to be there. But that's not always the case. It is not the most. It's kind of
football is a crucial game. Just a savage game.
Even back to like what I'm doing now with all the entrepreneurial stuff, it's like you have to look at it and think it is just still, it's just competing. That's all it is. Who do you know? That's what I think it is anyway. Who do you know?
Damn. Might drop. Boom. Should we wrap?
Let's wrap it.
It's been a pleasure, brother.
Thank you, my bro. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you making the time to come down. I think this might be our longest episode. Up there, definitely. Cool. And it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
No worries at all, man.
It's been
Thanks
really good.
down.
I've learned a lot as well.
We'll run it back.
Yeah.
In Bali.
In Bali. Let's run it.
That's if you haven't only got a pro contract and you have to be at the training ground a certain time.
We could do it off season, maybe.
To all of you guys, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. On Spotify, make sure you drop us a follow and leave us a rating if you haven't already. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notification on so you get notified every time we release a podcast. And we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later, guys.
Peace.